Welcome everyone to another episode of
Why the Long Face?
where Paul, Rob, and I talk about
Insane, crazy, stupid, silly, important, very important stuff. Topical.
Yeah, meaningful stuff like fart blossoms and whatnot.
yes, whatever that means. We're into it because it's important to us.
Wait, is that
and
when
that's
you're
what
in the
we-
bathtub and with another person and they fart and you bite the bubbles? Is that what fart blossoms are?
I think that's a little bit different than all.
I think that's only on Tuesdays.
Yeah. I think the conversation is strayed a little bit from what we came here to talk about, which is
The Walking Dead.
yes,
The
we're here to
return.
talk-
The return of the one.
the return of The
Yes.
Walking Dead. So, I have my opinions of this episode. So, quick.
You do? You have opinions on
I
this
do.
episode?
I do, and I can't wait to voice them. But I want to get your quick synopsis from everybody else. So, Rob, we'll start with you. What did you think?
I thought that it played fairly well. Anybody who's ever been in a position like that where you've been kind of under the thumb or ball sack of somebody like Negan or
In a
just a general
post-apocalyptic setting?
Yes. This happened to one of us
Yeah.
at least once.
my last job, it is what it is. But, anybody who's ever been in a position where they've been under the thumb of somebody that you were stuck in, even a work environment, where you've had to work for somebody that just sucks a sweaty nut and you can't do anything about it and they're constantly digging at you.
And they have a bat with
It's
barbed wire on
frustrating.
it.
Yeah, there's that too with the sexy name, Lucille. Basically, you spend your whatever free moments you have thinking about how you're going to get back at them or how you're going to get out of that situation. So, for some people, it might have played fairly quickly, but in my opinion, for those who have ever been under the thumb of somebody, I thought that it was pretty accurate that the first chance that they got, they already had something in the back of their minds ready to go. And Rick is, he's a law enforcement officer, so his character thinks in a very specific manner. So it doesn't shock me at all that he had something floating around in the back of his mind, especially after he was ready to cave Carl's head in with that bat. How could you not want to, think about how many ways you want to have his spine on a plate?
Okay. So, what I get from your synopsis is a lot of sweaty ball sacks. Okay. So, Paul, do you have anything to add to the sweaty ball sacks?
It was cool because they jumped right into it. It wasn't like, okay, what's going to happen? It was like pretty much immediately right afterwards. So they didn't waste time in, okay, we're going to do this. They already had a plan in motion and they were doing stuff. And it was, we obviously didn't get to see some of it because all their shit was in motion already. But it was a good, they left you at the beginning of the hallway and this is picking up at the end of the hallway. So it was very quick pickup. You could follow right along with it. And I think it was good for a first episode. It was a lot of action.
Okay.
I think we got to see some of the characters that we wanted to see face each other a little bit.
Right. Okay. Okay.
So, yeah,
So your synopsis was it's good and quick, kind of like you are.
Not so much good and quick, but they didn't. They got right into the action.
Okay. All right. So, with that being said, with what.
Let me just add to that. I think what Paul was getting at was that you spent the whole season just itching for these guys to get a chance to get back at them, and now that moment is there. So everybody who was waiting for that was more than happy to see them just jump right into it.
Rick isn't last season's Rick. Rick is back to being who he's supposed to be.
Right. Okay. So with that being said, my opinion of the episode, and I know I'm going to get hate mail from this, but
here we go.
Post your email address first.
Yeah. It is fartknockers at fartblossoms.com. I wanted more. I think this episode felt like a quick filler to what is coming.
Yeah, possibly.
I felt like, they just kind of teased with what the possibilities of things to come. And with that being said, let's do like a breakdown of the episode.
Okay.
They're starting off with, the whole episode is 3 different Rick scenarios. The first scenario is what we would call a present time Rick, which is him getting ready with all the soldiers and getting them ready to fight. Then you have future Rick, which is the Rick with the long beard, old man Rick.
With the cane.
And nobody else was old.
Limping.
Yeah, I got it.
Right. Then they have...
Why was nobody else old?
Well, we'll dive into that in just a moment.
Yeah, and if you look at the age of his daughter, it was like, that must have been only a couple years of difference, so it's like, really? Age that much?
And then we're going to get into a more, I guess, mid between those 2 Ricks version of him with the eyes all red, and it looks like he's under distress. And,
yeah, like something bad has happened that he's trying to live with there.
Right. So...
And Pickle Rick.
And Pickle Rick, yes. Pickle Rick was there too. So, I mean, what did you guys think of that? I mean, that whole
I was a little
breakdown.
annoyed by it because there was so much of a story going on. I wanted to get to the story. I was like, what's this fucking flashback shit? Stop teasing me with it. For another episode.
I have mixed feelings about it. I mean, it's like you think in your mind, is this future Rick that you're seeing ultimately where we're going to end up? Or is this something that he's just envisioning as a perfect world that where he would like to be? But to me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to envision yourself with a limp and a cane. That to me says that maybe this is a potential outcome toward the end of the series at some point, that's where they're planning to be, and he was thinking back on all this, and maybe that's their foreshadowing of
but
future things to come.
At the very end of that, everything was all hazy and blurry outside.
Right.
To me, that was like, okay, what is this, heaven? Is it him dead?
With a limp?
Well, it's like everybody's there and it's perfect.
Well,
but he's not perfect. He wouldn't need the cane, That's, you know what I mean? Like, that's where I was like, that's strange. You wouldn't really envision yourself like that.
I don't know. I don't. It's.
Unless he really enjoys the limp, then hey, maybe that's his thing. I don't know.
I mean, and for spoilers of those who never read the comic book,
I didn't read the comic book.
So, nobody else has but Mike, okay?
Yes,
Rob, just remember that. So he's going to chime in with his little things. And the TV show varies from the comic book, by the way, too.
It does.
Oh, I know it does, and I know there are major things that it varies in, and like there's no Daryl in the comic book, from what I know of.
I think recently,
and I thought about getting.
Yeah.
I thought about getting into the comic book and read it, but then I don't want to know what happens.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying watching the show and watching it unfold because it's awful when you're a slave to the origin. When you know what the real story is and you're constantly fighting with that didn't happen. That's not how it goes. What? That's not who invented that.
Hey,
that
wait
was
a minute.
Pym.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
it's aggravating. So I don't want that to happen. I enjoy the show and the cast, and I really just want to keep it that way.
Right. Well,
but that's how I live my life with all the Spider-Man movies. That didn't happen. That's not how it goes.
That's true. But
see what I mean? It's frustrating because that's not how it goes.
Right.
That's crap. Aunt May didn't do that. That's not how old she's supposed to be. Marissa Tomei, what? So.
I mean, when we're talking about this whole future Rick, now the future Rick in the comic book has a cane. It's not really a cane. It's more of a one of those
zombie leg.
No, those arm things. Remember that? What's his name?
The crutch.
Yeah.
Oh, a brace. Oh, like that goes around.
Yeah, but he kept looking at the cane, almost as if it was supposed to mean something. In my opinion.
Well,
maybe it belonged to somebody.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Or it could have been Herschel's.
That's what I was thinking too. But,
yeah.
But did he have a cane or did he use the crutch? Remember, he lost his whole freaking
Well,
leg.
he used a crutch, I thought,
but
if I remember
they gave
right.
him a prosthetic leg at one point. And
Yes,
then he was using the cane.
That gutted me, his death, by the way, because I loved
Yeah.
Herschel.
So I think that has to do with Herschel. So,
yeah.
Again, when we're talking about future Rick, he's got injuries that Negan gave him to his legs. So he couldn't walk all that well. I shouldn't say he couldn't walk at all. He couldn't walk all that well.
Now, Mike, you just gave a spoiler.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I said, spoiler alert.
But this is a spoiler alert for people who didn't watch the show yet.
Well, the people that are watching the show...
Meaning this season and maybe next season. Oh, well, Rob, he just ruined it for everyone.
Well, I mean, with him walking... Yeah, but if you've seen him in the episode, you saw him walking with a limp.
And that didn't, to me, say that Negan broke his leg.
Well, it doesn't...
or that it was permanent.
Right, but
That's
you
it.
know
I am
he
going
received...
in a time travel, and I'm going back to one. Mike goes, hey, I'm going to read the Walking Dead comic, and I'm going to delete it off your hard drive so you can never read it.
So the thing is with him having that limp and walking the way he is, you know he got an injury from that firefight. Whether or not it was...
No, I don't.
Firefight? How do we know he didn't get into it and get an ass?
Well,
but how do we know it's not a zombie that took a bite out of him?
We don't know, but we know that it was right after that firefight that he's waking up. So he's waking up to this festival that's going on, that they're celebrating something. Now, again, the only reason why I'm mentioning it is just to reference that he got injured right after this whole incident that's happening.
It really
now.
feels like it's really in the future to me.
Right, and it could
like far
be
in the future.
Now, one of the things we don't have that's a comparison to the two is just that they're switching between the realities. And the reason why I call it reality is because there's 3 different timelines that they're going through. Whether or not any of those realities exist, we don't know, because the Walking Dead creators and the writers sometimes fool us.
And they veer off from the designated path of the story.
Right. And that's why when he woke up and everybody doesn't look old except him, could mean that this is a dream sequence for him, but why would he have the injuries? Or...
Right. Unless he's dreaming, as the old man.
He could be dreaming as the old man and sees everybody there. And then while he's crying, this the distressed Rick, he might be burying somebody. Or he might have just lost somebody at that point.
To me,
and
didn't it
he
look kind of like he
wrecked.
was like... Yeah, I don't know. I almost felt like he was kind of like he was hiding or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I
No, to me it looked like when he was like destroyed, like when he was broke.
Right.
Like earlier, when with Glenn and all that. Like he
exactly right around there.
Like he just looked like a train wreck. So it's possible that, like you said, he might have lost somebody close. But again, like you said, they always veer from the story. Like they do change it. Like Abraham, from what I know, what Kirkman said, Abraham in the original comic died much early. He died early on, and they felt that his death was cheap. With the character that he had become on the show, and they wanted to give him a bit more.
All the characters became somebody else. Like Carol in the comic is nothing like Carol in the TV show.
Oh no, not even close.
She's great. I love Melissa McBride. She's awesome as Carol.
So, I mean, with that being said, let's explore the different.
Would that
realms.
possibility of being ruined for everybody listening? Go on.
No, because we're going to explore the 3 realms. So the first realm is the present day. So, I mean, with everything going on with this present day, with them getting into battles and stuff like that.
The current storyline.
Right, the current storyline. Now, there were little subtleties that they did to the homage because it was the 100th episode.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you guys caught them or not.
Okay, well, what were they?
Well, the one was, I don't know if you saw when Rick first wakes up, which is the old man Rick. Okay, when he first
that's like him waking up in the first episode.
Right. Okay, so you have that. Then you have when Carl is walking at the gas station. And he's looking at the bodies in the car.
Right, and the like the little girl in the first episode.
Right. And there's
is that where you were going?
Yeah, there's another little thing where there's a little girl in the background. But that same sequence while he's walking and he looks in the car, if you go to the first season, Rick does the same exact thing. Same exact camera angles, same exact everything.
Yeah.
So they recreate it with Carl. Some of the other things that they did was the little girl that you mentioned.
The zombie girl.
Yeah, the zombie girl.
Yeah, the zombie girl. I remember when I first saw that, I was like, what the...
The teddy bear girl, the little girl.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but that's the original girl who was the teddy bear girl from the first season.
It is her. Okay, yep. That's what I thought. I'm like, I wonder if that's the same girl. Aha!
It is. So what they did was they hired her to come back and play that same zombie as an homage to the first season. So there's a lot of little things that they threw in there to kind of give you that homage to that.
Yeah, see, I thought that it felt really familiar like that, and that's what I said when I saw her. I went, oh, that's kind of like the little girl in the first episode, which is what really hooked me into the show because I actually got into it much later. I had friends that had been watching it for several seasons. They're like, oh, it's awesome. And I'm like, oh, I'm not really a zombie kind of guy, you know? I never really got into it. And then I watched the first episode one night. I had a break at work, and I had nothing to do, so I put Netflix on my, phone, and I went through the first episode, and that's what hooked me into the show was the scene with Morgan and his wife and the woman in the park.
Yeah, that was the scary zombie.
Where she was like crawling and half of her was missing, and Rick apologizes to her. That whole sequence there, I was like, Jesus, man, that's brutal. Because it really forces you to think, like, if that was your wife, could you shoot her? Would you be able to? Would you be able to blow her brains out in front of you? Like, how do you, like, it really makes you think. So at that point, I realized that the show was about the characters and not just about the zombies.
Well, this is
like when you watch an alien movie, it's about aliens, and that's it. It's not about the characters, where this is not about zombies, it's about the characters.
Well, this is a show that basically created that zombie craze, in my opinion. There's always been zombie shows, but this is a show that made everything more popular and everything.
Made it mainstream, no doubt. Because for years it was vampires, and I had friends that were in the zombies, like other people are in the vampires, but it wasn't as mainstream as it is today.
Now, when you were talking about could you shoot your wife, it just reminds me of the episode of The Simpsons where Flanders comes comes to the window, and he goes, he says something, and then Homer just blows him away, and they're like, you killed zombie Flanders, and he's like, he was a zombie? So,
and believe it or not, and the same thing happened to my wife. She wasn't into the show either. I watched it, and I got all caught up to, like, I think I started on the third or the fourth season. And I got caught up, and then I said, listen, you got to watch this. This stuff is ridiculous. And now, let me tell you, when Glenn bought it, she was a train wreck. She was an absolute mess. And then when they were going at it, and Michonne and the girl were fighting on the roof, she was yelling and cheering for her, and jumping out of her seat. And I'm like, holy shit,
Yeah.
So, she really got into it, and my wife is not a zombie person either, because whenever I play a video game and I rip somebody's head off or blow somebody's head off or run somebody down with a car, she's like, that's disgusting. What is wrong with you? And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with me. I can't do that legally, so here we are.
Well, when Glenn died, I called Paul because I was sobbing uncontrollably, and he had to talk me off the roof.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
And I told him, what are you talking about, Glenn?
I will
admit. I didn't see that.
I said, yes, he did. I don't want to conjure up old feelings. Sorry.
I was fine until I saw like his eye hanging out and everything.
Yeah, that was pretty gruesome.
That's pretty gruesome.
Yeah. So
I was like, oh man.
all right, let's not veer too much off of the topic of where we were before. So
the realms.
yeah, so I mean, with continuing with the realms,
I don't like the realms.
they keep on, but they kept on jumping around between. They have Rick doing the speech.
Yeah, but are they going to do that for the rest of the season? Because that's annoying.
I hope this was just this episode.
I don't think so.
I think they're going to have to have one where they
I think it was probably just
explain
this
it.
episode.
Yeah, I
And
think
then that's
so
what'll
too.
be done with it.
Oh, I'm sure they will, because look at what they did with Glenn and Morgan. You're sitting there going, what happened? Did he die? Did they eat him? And then it's like, oh, how Morgan became Mr. Kumbaya. And you're like, what the hell? You're screaming at the TV going, wait, I don't care about him. I want to know what happened to him. And you had no answers for like 5 episodes.
Right.
And then you finally got what happened. You're like, oh, God.
Yeah.
You know, so I think they're going to do something like that where you're not going to see any more of that for a few episodes. And you go, what about the realms, you know?
Well, it's funny because after he was announced that he was alive, they announced that he was alive and he was good. That episode where you saw he was okay, which was really unbelievable anyway.
Who, Glenn? When Glenn, you mean under the dumpster?
Yeah.
Under the dumpster?
So we were, we went to the Jersey Walker Stalker Con.
Ah, yes, I've been to that.
And he was there. So I remember I was there with my sister and a friend of mine, and you know we were.
You went with Wanda?
No. Vanessa.
The other one? Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So we were there, and you know they were going to take pictures with Glenn. So I had to take pictures of them, you know, with Glenn. So I'm standing there, and they it's funny because they walk up to him and they go, first. You know, my one friend says, "I'm so glad you're not dead," and he's like, "Yeah, me too." and you know, I took the picture with him, and then my other sister comes up and she goes, "I'm glad they continued on your character," and he's like, "Yeah, me too." Like it was just like he was more happy to make the money than he was that he was still alive.
Well, I mean, now he's you know, I'm sure you probably already know, but he's the voice of Keith on Voltron, you know, the new series on Netflix.
Well, I don't think he said, let me leave Walking Dead to be Voltron, did he? I think he was leaving and they gave him that, no?
Yeah.
Is Voltron
I don't
bigger
know.
than
I
The
mean,
Walking
look
Dead?
But I mean, well, it depends. You know, the original, yeah, I'm gonna give you, no doubt.
Really?
The new one's not bad. The new one's, you know what? I'm okay with the new one. I'm enjoying the reimagining of the
if we
story.
were to go to 5 people randomly on the street and say, would you rather watch Voltron or would you rather watch Walking Dead? What do you think the answer is going to be?
Well,
it depends on the age group of who you're asking.
Yeah,
You know, because today's kids don't have any concept of what Voltron was about. You know, that was the first Power Ranger. Like, that was it, man. That was like the coolest thing you'd ever seen. 5 robotic lions the size of skyscrapers, you know. You had never seen anything like that. And the original show was actually very violent and a lot more gory. But, you know, us American folk, we can't handle that. So we had to take all that stuff out. But the animation was beautiful. The fight sequences were great. Even though it was like the Incredible Hulk with Lou Ferrigno. It was the same crap, you know. A rope beast, you know, you cut it in half with the sword. It's done, yay. Yeah. You know, but it was still a great show. But I mean, if you ask today's kids, I don't think they would appreciate Voltron for what it really was. So, you know, they would say The Walking Dead, no doubt.
Right. So, back to The Walking Dead, because you know we're
going to veer the hell off of The Walking Dead, Mike. Come on, that's what we do.
Listen. I'm trying to steer everybody back.
No, it's not going to happen.
He's got valid opinions that we need to hear.
Yes, we need to steer everybody back. So, this jumping time thing that they're doing, where they have Rick doing this speech, they have the king, I forget his name, doing this speech, and King Ezekiel doing his speech. It was just like they're
I love his character. His character's great.
Yeah, his
by the way. I just like to listen to him talk.
his character is great. But just having this whole timeline jump around was just kind of annoying, but for the present time. And then when they show, the mid-range Rick, it's always the same sequence where it's just him. His eyes are red. He looks defeated somehow. Like his spirit is just, something happens. So it's broken. So, I mean, there could be a couple of... I mean, there's a lot of characters that shouldn't even be there that may die, and that's why he's like that. I mean, first of all, his...
Oh, yeah, we could get 4 episodes in before we even get to a point where we realize his character becomes that way,
Like, his daughter isn't even in the... like, she died in the comic book a long time ago, so it could be her. It could be... the priest, what's his name?
I don't think
Gabriel.
Listen, that guy is a douche waffle.
Who, Gabriel?
Okay, but I mean, I am enjoying his progression.
He's a different. I mean, he had to come a long way to get to where he is.
Yeah.
He did, but I still, he still worries me. Like, he still looks like he's a spineless weasel that if put in a pinch. If put in a pinch, he may cave.
I think he's 360. I mean, he has been.
He did too.
I think the last couple
he's doing
of
well.
episodes,
I will give him that. I'm just still a little reserved.
Remember the one like they were there to somebody that was there that like wanted to either kill him or fight him or something, and he just kind of like talked them down. Not changed their mind, but kind of gave them some hope out of nowhere.
Yeah,
like kind of did what. I guess you could say like what a priest should do in essence.
Right.
But dude, I mean,
true.
when are we going to talk about that son of a bitch?
We're getting there.
On.
Calm down. Calm
Son
down.
of a bitch.
I mean, we have Carol, who isn't even supposed to be there.
What do you mean she's not supposed to be there?
Carol, in
Mike,
the comic book,
we're watching
she
a
died.
TV show. Hello, do I have to remind you? So stop it.
Right, but I'm trying to explain to you where the reasoning might be why he might be.
No, I mean not that. I don't think that he doesn't. But
I don't want it to ruin the story, though.
I don't know. I think it's got to be somebody more personal and more close to him. It's got to be.
How much more personal can it be? Where when he let her go
Coral.
out of
Coral. It's Coral.
Coral. When he let her go from the prison, it
oh yeah, after she killed. Yeah,
I mean,
right.
it did break him up. Like you could tell, a little piece of him died. And when he met her again on the road, you could tell how.
Yeah, I don't think that's. I don't. Not that he won't be upset, but I don't think that's a big enough. I don't think that's an important enough character.
No, I don't either.
To cause that. I mean.
I think it's either Daryl or Coral.
Or, like you said, maybe his daughter.
I mean, Daryl again. Yeah, Daryl is another person who really.
Or maybe it's a bunch of people.
That's
maybe
like
it's a bunch of people
right
that he was like, "Hey, I'm going to make sure that you're okay," and then a bunch of people get all tore up.
Well, who knows? I mean, even Tara, who I believe is not even. I don't even remember her character at all being in the comic book. I think, she could really, buy it there. I mean, it's but there's too many.
Well, her girlfriend did. Woo!
Yeah.
Talk about an eye for an eye.
Yeah, there's too many unknowns in that. So
I will say that's what I enjoy about the series, though, is that the writers seem to keep finding a way to, even though most of the people know the story based on the comic, they still find a way to surprise you or change it or make you go, oh, shit.
Right. But we know whoever it's going to be, it's somebody who's going to devastate. But you know what? I think Rick is like that with anybody that's under his care. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who it is. I think he would just be devastated just because.
Are you saying that Rick is too sensitive and he's a bitch? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know if I would use bitch, but I would definitely use,
No, I don't. Yeah, I think it's.
No,
I mean,
yeah.
these people have gone. He's gone through everything with them, so you can't even. Yeah, you can't even.
Oh yeah, no, I know. I was just kidding. Absolutely, you get attached to people like that when you depend on them for your life. I mean, that's a big deal. When you've saved each other's lives multiple times, that's a big deal.
I mean,
that's a real big
for
deal.
all we know, he could be trying to save Eugene's life, and Eugene.
Haircut?
Yeah.
You want him to save haircut? That guy, let me tell you, man, he needs a bottle of nails shoved in his ass because that guy's a fucking weasel.
Well, I mean, he was a little bit stronger in the comic series than he is on the TV show, which I agree. In the TV show, he does live up to what his nature is. It's
what I will say is that right, but at the same time. Well, I love his character. I do. I think that Josh did an incredible job bringing his character to life, and I enjoy his unique way of talking. Like I know everything, but I really don't. But I do. Even though I think he's a punk, I do think that ultimately, in the end, I think he'll probably end up sacrificing himself.
He has something left.
I think he's got that Vader complex where he's going to be sitting next to the Emperor, and then he is going to, at some point, sacrifice himself for the good of the group,
right.
and finally grow a set of balls.
But I think it would still hurt Rick. I'm sorry, Nick.
Yeah.
Rick. I think it would still affect him.
Oh yeah, of course, because they did go through a lot together. I mean,
so beyond that now, let's get into Future Rick. Now, with Future Rick.
Where did he find the conditioner for his beard? That's what I want to know.
That's what I'm saying. It's a little surreal. That doesn't look real to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole thing is that, okay, so it looks like some time has passed. Now, we know Rick's beard is already white, so no matter what he does, it's going to look like he's old. Yeah. So it's going to look like he's older than he's supposed to be. So we know that. But also... Again, I'm gonna just reference the comic, just to reference. Is that we know that he builds a more sensible type of society, and I don't want to say society because I'm saying it wrong, because it's the three villages that were fighting against Negan have band together and have built an infrastructure between the three cities.
Yeah. So
it's more of, they have policing and they have, roads and they have, trade and structure. That's what they have. Which leads into another series with the Whisperers. So this might be just foreshadowing that going to come, and they want to explain to people that know the comic, hey, this is coming. Now, they could be doing that.
Oh, yeah. Are these the things with the W's carved on them? The torsos? Is that what you're referring to? This Whisperers thing?
The Whisperers are a little bit different, and again, I'm trying not to...
You don't have to go...
Yeah,
don't
I'm
go
trying
into
not
it.
to get into it.
I was just curious if that's what that was, because we still haven't had an explanation on that, or where Jadis and her little shit show came from, or any of that. Yeah.
So we're not going to get too much into it.
Well, you don't have to worry, because in about 3 weeks I'm going to go back in time and wipe Mike's any knowledge of any of the comics, so he won't be bringing that up.
So, I mean, going into present, and let's go into your weasel.
Oh, that friggin' son of a bitch, dude. He was up there and he's like, hey, we're, what is it? What, the hilltop doesn't stand with you, and they're like, nobody follows you. And he's like, I didn't foresee this happening. And then he goes back to save him, and he leaves him there.
Oh, dude, you should have. Oh God, you should, Gregory, you piece of. Oh my God. You should have left him there. You should have left him there. And then when that was going on, I said, leave him or shoot him.
Yeah. It was funny.
You should have just left him there.
Because you see Gabriel and he's like, shit.
Yeah, that's the calling of the that's his priesthood right there.
It's just like,
that's like, oh God, I can't leave him.
And I mean, any rational person would have been like, I'm out of here. He doesn't deserve my.
Yeah, I would have said, "Oh, see you later, there, killer. Bye bye."
Yeah, I mean, most people would have been like that, but because of what he is and what his priesthood is, it's a little bit different. He had to.
His belief system
but
does not allow
it's because
for him
of that
to
place, though. It's
arbitrarily leave him.
There isn't that many people left, so I think it's kind of like, hey, we got to sometimes look out for the people that we can look out for, and then not worry about the people we can't. So I think it's, the ones that you, I don't know, like the ones you can slate. I think almost is the mentality. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have left his goofy ass there. Fuck that noise.
Yeah, I mean it's.
I like how when he walked out, she was, of course, where else would he go? Of course, he's a shit stain. Where else would he be?
Yeah, and that's the kind of look he gave when he saw him go over to the car. He was just like, oh. He's just like, wait, you're not. It's kind of like that time where I had this can of Coke, and it was on the counter, and
but the realms,
and I was helping this customer, and all of a sudden I hear. Psst, and I hear it opening up, and I look over, and somebody's drinking.
Yeah, well, that's horrible.
and all I hear is ah. It was kind of like that. It was that betrayal.
You said, "Hey, that's mine." I was like, "Yeah, I know."
That.
It's established that it's yours, and I'm having some.
And you're gonna thank me for it.
He couldn't even help that guy. He didn't even give him the right bulb. He's like, "Just take this one." But wait, it doesn't fit in my car.
Here, just take this.
Take it.
It doesn't matter. It's yours. It's yours now. But I mean, that it was that betrayal that it was just like, oh my god, I can't believe he's doing. Like at first, you see him run off, and he's like, no, I don't, no, you're not gonna, no, you're doing it. You're.
I thought he was going to get shot. Like, I didn't think he was going to make it to the car. I thought he was going to, try and run. Like, he was saying, no, get down. I thought he was going to get shot.
Yeah. Yeah, at first I did, and then when I saw him make it to the car, I'm like, oh, he's going to leave him. Yeah. And it's funny because another thing, when all those cars are covered in that, the scrap metal, that's another homage to the comic. Because in the comic they did that. They like the Winnebago, they put that big giant stuff over it, and that.
You mean the metal bra?
Yeah, and that's how they crashed the fence to Negan's place. But they left out a lot of the planning, like what they did to plan to get there.
Well, unfortunately, that's a big problem with film and literature adaptations. That's always been an issue. Time. You only got so much time,
of that would be
and it's
kind of
you have to
boring,
decide,
to see every part
what is really necessary.
But if the creators of The Walking Dead are like I know they are, they could use this opportunity to have this first episode with this broken up kind of format, and then throughout the season explain each part of that format. You know what I mean?
I'm sure that's what their intention is. I'm sure that it's probably going to take all season before we truly understand everything that's happened in this episode and what we were
right. But what I mean is that this broken up episode that they did, it was just to kind of tease us to know, hey, this is what's going to happen. But we're just giving you tidbits real quick, and then you're going to see the whole thing play out. So even though we didn't get to see how they lured everything and how they planned everything and how they did all that, we could see that the next episode. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's only so much they have to give us. Because in a comic book, you can do it. I mean, the comic book was once a month. So when they put it out once a month, I mean, they could stretch out a storyline through 8 months. Which they did with the Negan saga. Where with the TV series, you can't really do that, and I think this is their opportunity to do that if they are.
Well, I remember them saying that for those who are familiar with the comic, that Negan was unlike anything you've ever seen before, and I remember thinking, really? Because I don't know, we see some pretty vile freaking shit on this show up until this point. I mean, how can you really get much worse than that? I mean, the governor heads in his room when the aquarium tanks, and his daughter just chilling in there on a collar, like a dog, and it's like, you're thinking, wow, how much worse can it really get? But I have to say, Jesus Christ, man, when they revealed him, and when you finally saw who he was, and that whole opening sequence to season 7, I mean, that was just, I didn't know what to do afterward. I was like, oh my God, my brain is warped. It was really impressive. Jeffrey D. Morgan really did a great job on that.
And I mean, and let's close this sequence with what happens at the end of the episode. I mean, come on. Like, Gabriel didn't suffer enough.
Yeah, but I don't think... Do you think he's going to beat the shit out of him? I don't think he's going to beat the shit out of him. And I wonder if they...
You got your shitting pants on? No, I think he's going to use him as bait so that he can escape.
Now...
Because he's about to shit your smart. If he just throws him out into the zombies, where does that get him? So I don't think he's going to...
Yeah, it gets him nowhere. Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, you saw what happened.
But that's what I'm saying.
They were surrounded. How do you get out of that without some sort of major intervention?
There's too many.
But why, if he was going to shit his pants, would he be inclined to help him?
Well, he's trying to say,
are you ready to shit your pants good because you can help me get out of here? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
You should be scared shitless because of me. But I think he's... Yeah.
Right.
And that shows you the kind of guy that he is. He's surrounded by all these fucking things that want to eat his ass, and all he cares about is, are you scared of me? Because you should be. Yeah. That shows you how demented he is. And my wife and I were talking about what Negan may have been prior to this world. And I said to her, he strikes me as somebody who would be in the mob, because that's what they're like. They're completely detached from the situation, and they love the carnage that they cause, and they love knowing that you're terrified of them.
No, I don't. Yeah, he was a gym.
But it's not what you're thinking.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know unless they tell us.
All right.
It's pretty normal, actually.
No, it's not. It's not even close to that.
No,
he took
and the sad part is he was probably like a fucking English teacher, and he just went off the freaking deep end because he lost his family and and just said, you know what, fuck that. But I mean, he's obviously highly intelligent, so I can't imagine he was any kind of a blue collar guy. I mean, I'm not saying that he's not, but he's extremely intelligent and he's extremely strategical, and that's something that you see in the military. People that know how to work with people and how to manipulate other people, So, he's definitely, there's definitely a lot more to him. I am very curious to see if the show will tell us what he was at some point. I would really like to know.
Or they might just never tell you.
Yeah,
but it's not who he was before. It's
that would just piss me off to no end.
Who he is now is
I want to know what this fuck.
Something went his way. Right, he took advantage.
Right, but I want to know who this.
Yeah.
But why? Why did this fucknard decide that, hey, I'm going to be in charge of everybody? What possessed him to do that?
Has mental issues, but he took
is he just is he just a sociopath? I mean, it's possible.
Right. And I think a lot has to do with his bat and the namesake of the bat. So, to not ruin it for Rob, I one of the things I wanted to mention is when he was talking about the guy's pants, it just brought me back to Deadpool.
You see that kind of stuff
when he's like, "Are you guys wearing your brown pants?" Yeah, that guy's wearing his brown pants. He's got the right idea. You know what I mean? That's what it kind of reminded me of. It was just that whole, he was just reminding him that, hey, I'm still in control That's
even though we're all about to die, it don't matter.
With Negan, it's always about control. I don't think it's ever about really showing brutality.
You know what?
I think it's more about the control aspect. The brutality has to come to show, I want you to be in line, but it's not what he really wants. He just
he'll take it to the next level if it has to
use it as an enforcement.
I think,
right.
Well, yeah, and I think what irritates me, what stresses me out about him so much is the fact that he always seems to act like whatever is going on is what he has fucking planned from Jump Street. Even when they were out there shooting off the guns and all the cars were out there, he comes out, well, like, hi there. Well, what are we doing here today?
But that's
not like, oh shit, what the hell are they doing here?
Uh-oh,
they're here with guns, and that can't be good.
Yeah.
Right, but that's what I mean. Like, it just drives me nuts that he could just sit there, calm, and somebody's shitting in his cornflakes, and he's looking at it like, what flavor of shit is that? Because I'm about to put it in your mouth. Like it's nothing, and that drives me insane about it. But that's beautiful about his character. That's why I enjoy Jeffrey's role in that, how he kind of just leans back with the bat, like, if you think you know what's going on here, you don't. Like, that's like his whole attitude.
Right.
I'm in charge, and that's all there is. That's all you need to know.
All right, so that's a perfect segue for us to jump into something that is a little bit different.
Well, it comes out.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the upcoming.
I know him from work.
Movie.
Ragnarok.
Yeah, it comes out in a week.
Yeah. I'm going to the.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a friend from work.
the trailer looks really good.
It does. Kate Blanchett looks pretty wicked.
Yeah,
that's
no
a
doubt.
Now,
too.
Whether or not we're seeing the best parts in the trailer, I don't know.
Yeah, but the Thor movies have
been
what
I mean?
Pretty good.
Because they've done that before with movies. You see, like, the best parts of the trailer in the trailer.
But let me just say, in defense of that, Guardians of the Galaxy, no. You didn't see the best parts of nothing in those trailers. They were great parts, but the movies themselves were absolutely amazing.
Right.
The cast is fantastic.
Yeah,
so, I'm not in love with that franchise. I got like Thor. I like Thor. It's okay. Chris Hemsworth does a great job. It's a cool character, but I enjoy the dynamics of the Guardians better. Like that whole, their whole relationship. So, I'm a little biased.
You take that back.
Too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and
right.
they have to explain a lot of things. I mean, and that's why they're doing all these separate superhero movies to kind
they're
of
bringing about all
explain
characters that were from
what's coming up next, which is
Thor's
the Infinity War.
Cast of characters throughout the years as well, and also to set them up to be more cosmically inclined to be ready for the whole Infinity thing too.
Right. Yeah, because the Infinity War.
They just better do a good job with friggin'
when Marvel,
Thanos,
or I should say when Disney.
They did a horrible job with Apocalypse. They just better do a good job with Thanos. Yeah. No, I know, but it's still somebody
but
writing
remember,
a comic book character.
That's not
Sony.
the same.
That's supposed to be
not the same studio.
And they didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if I remember correctly, Josh Brolin is the one who's voicing Thanos for the film.
Yeah, I mean, and you know who Thanos is? I mean, who Apocalypse was? He was the guy that's in The Mummy that played comic relief.
But he wasn't. He wasn't big.
I'm thinking of the wrong person. Sorry. Never mind. We'll just scratch that from the record because it was so. No. He wasn't.
They tried to make him more.
Yeah, he's
he
huge.
should have been over the top,
charismatic and intelligent,
like the size of Hulk.
Okay,
well,
but he's
big.
He is. I know that's what I'm saying. It's not. That's not his. What you think about when you see him.
That's not him though. He's brute.
Right. Yeah.
No, that's not his MO at all.
No,
Thanos cannot be defeated by
talking about
any
Apocalypse, and then we're talking about
one
Thanos.
of them, let alone the whole group of them. So it's gonna be like he's gonna go until he's like
any
I'm done.
being.
Right? Yeah.
And if I remember correctly in the comics, like didn't he destroy everything and then
he's
like,
a
oh crap, let me put it all
character
back
because
this is not fun.
He's a bad guy,
yeah,
but
I don't remember if
he
he ever got
sometimes
that.
knows when too far is too far.
Because he's a
But
celestial, you know.
he
and
does
he's
everything
basically
to serve himself as well.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole
there
reason
was a
he's
really good because I've been
trying to
reading the
destroy all of
new
reality
Ben
anyway
Reilly
is because he's in
Scarlet
love with
Spider-Man.
death.
They brought him back, the character back, and he had a run-in with Death, and she explained a little bit about her and Thanos' relationship, and I was like, oh, that's a pretty good little anecdote. She kind of said like, he doesn't love me, he loves the idea of having me, of being able to, like a conquest. So that's why she's always been kind of standoffish. Like he does all this stuff, and she's like doesn't care because she knows it's not. He's not really in love. It's more exactly is for him to, hey, look what I have conquered. But to
She knows his
Thanos,
real
that's one
motivation
and the
behind
same.
it.
I mean, he's got no anything else.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. And you know, the Thanos character, from what we've gotten a little bit,
good.
which is from the Guardians of the Galaxy.
He looks big, at least.
He's looked really cool.
But if they give him the Infinity Gauntlet, I mean, there's
he
none
does
of the
look awesome.
Avengers, no matter who they bring in, can stop. Even without the Gauntlet, they're going to be hard pressed because
they won't survive.
the Avengers in the movies are powerful, but if you were to counteract, if you were to put them up against the comic book versions, they're not nearly as, because they have to be believable. Yeah, they're believable versions.
They're watered down versions of the comic book version.
Right.
Well, it's like Batman. You know how you have the Christopher Nolan version of Batman, which is more believable, versus
that was
the
kind
Michael
of a joke
Keaton,
by that point.
George Clooney version, where it's like, oh, we have grappling hooks on our wrist, and oh, that's cool. That's realistic.
Yeah. I mean, we had talked about this before, Paul and I. The Ben Affleck Batman. Before the movie came out, the Batman versus Superman, I was really pissed off that they couldn't.
No, I didn't say I love it, but I liked that they did a good job of explaining how his powers
he
work.
did a great job.
He slipped in the deprivation chamber. They've never talked about that in the comics. How would somebody that could hear, smell, see everything, how would they sleep at night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic. I agree with you, Paul. I thought I like the film for those pieces. I like the costume. I like the color that they chose. I do.
Yeah,
I love
cool
how they did his. I love how they right, but I love how they did his visual representation of the world.
Yeah.
Like when you saw Jennifer Garner when it was raining, like, oh come on, like how you not in love with that, So it's like, so yeah, but I understand, but his acting in that film was,
Just.
The best part I thought in the film was where he was chewing the painkillers and just staring into the mirror, just like numb. Yeah. I thought that was probably his best scene.
I thought it was a cool look at what an old Batman should be, not just like a 35-year-old guy that's the best shape of his life and gets beat up every night. This is an old guy.
I have to say,
been around the block a couple times, and he's learned a couple tricks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And he's got some history behind him. You saw the Robin suit in there, so obviously he lost a partner along the way. I thought his Bruce Wayne, I thought he looked fantastic. Like, that look for him, that weathered, older Bruce Wayne look, it looked great on him. And I thought, for Bruce Wayne, he looked pretty perfect there, no doubt. The Batman, I was okay with that. Did I think he was amazing? No, but I mean, he was okay. better than I thought he was going to be because there's nothing's going to be as bad as George Clooney.
Right, and I wasn't looking for a perfect Batman because what I was looking for was more of the Frank Miller,
right, which is what that was based
pissed
on.
off Batman. That's what I was looking for.
Which he did. He did okay with that. He felt
because
he felt solid. He felt like there was a lot of anger and brute underneath that suit. So I will.
Oh yeah, he was.
Yeah. Right, and he was pretty jacked for that movie.
No doubt.
And I know Ben Affleck listens to this, and hey, thanks for doing a good job with Batman. I know. I'm sorry about Daredevil. Hey, it is what it is. I have my opinions, but
that's what I'm saying. A lot of people,
I liked your Batman.
I thought it was a cool representation for that movie. I mean, can you see 10 movies of him like that? I don't think so. But 2 or 3 movies, yeah, it's a cool idea.
No. Yeah.
But then you have Kevin Conroy, who is the most amazing sounding Batman, in my opinion, that I've ever heard.
I'm getting a little.
Would he be able to play
he
Batman?
Looks like. Oh no, because he looks like he hasn't eaten in 7 years, and he's on chemotherapy still.
Every video game, every cartoon, it's always him. Now he does a great job, but it's like, because it's like, oh, he can do Batman, and I've heard a couple of times in the more recent stuff, it's like it doesn't sound as good as he did, because of course he's getting older. But I'm like,
Yeah, well, it happens. But you know what? You got to respect that DC has seen that, okay, everybody can relate to this voice. Why not keep this voice and not confuse everybody by throwing in, other people? Because they've done that before.
Yeah, like
you watch all these other series that they came out with, and you're just like The Batman. Remember that one that came out, and it was just like the same creators of Jackie Chan were the ones that were doing that,
or something, right?
And you were just like, and it just felt hokey-ish.
It's still nothing like, it's still nothing like.
Yeah, it was more like when he first started out.
Yeah, no, it's still nothing like Batman the Animated Series. That was dark and fantastic, and it was just really well done.
Because that felt like more of a Tim Burton type Batman.
Right. Which to me, that's Batman. Batman, look at his character. He's not a happy guy. This guy watched his parents murdered in front of him. This is not a guy that's going to want to start a Kool-Aid stand with you. This is a guy that's going to be sitting up there on the rafters going,
as dark
okay, your ass is mine.
I think Frank Miller gave him that voice that made him okay.
Yeah. It was Frank Miller who really did,
Right, but if you want the Batman character to be believable, that's what you want from him. You want him. You don't dress up as a bat because it's funny looking. You dress up as a bat because you're supposed to look at this guy and go, "What the fuck are you?" No. And that's what I will say I liked about the Nolan series. That how they did that where he was jumping around in the rafters and these guys yelling, shooting all over the place, going, "What are you? Where are you?" And he's like, "Here." He's like, "Oh," and then you didn't see anything else. Like that to me is what Batman is supposed to be. Now, of course, trying to fight crime in the middle of the day like that probably won't be as effective. Right. But still, I appreciated that. Like there was one particular shot that I said, that to me is Batman. There's a scene where they were dumping the stuff into the water supply, and he grabbed the guy. He grabbed the gun, he shot the guy in the foot, and then he grabbed the guy and took him up into the rafters, and you just saw the two of them disappear into the darkness up there. Like that to me, that to me was Batman. Just like in the apartment when they broke in and he was hiding in there. If you watch, he kneels down and he just completely disappears while he's hiding in there. When they come in while he's looking around for the drugs. So that to me is what Batman is supposed to be, in my opinion.
Now, with that being said, we have to kind of jump into another segment because we're going to start running out of time soon. But let's talk about, the upcoming Star Wars movies that are coming up. They're starting to put out a couple of trailers on that.
One after?
And then they...
Yes, indeed.
The next.
You talking about The Last Jedi?
Yeah, The Last Jedi. And they're starting to give us little tidbits of what that's about. I mean, they're starting to say, "Hey, look, let's get."
I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, let's give you a little bit of this. Let's give you a little bit of that, and then that's all they're doing, which is something that Disney is good for when they want to really wrap you into it, because they're figuring all the Star Wars fans are going to get into a frenzy trying to,
I just want to see Mark Hamill with the lightsaber. That's all.
Get into the mindset of I want to see more. I want to see more. I want to see more. Yeah, well, I mean that's the whole thing. They want to.
He's pissed, right? He's pissed in this movie.
Lure you in with
like why
not giving you that much. Oh yeah,
he's not happy. What I will say is this: Disney, the way that they cut the trailers for episode 7 was ridiculous. Like whoever did those needs to be doing all of their because I remember watching that and I remember thinking, I don't know how good this is going to be, and I watched it with a room full of other people and they all turned into 7-year-olds again. I've never seen anything like that. It was amazing. And then when you saw Han and Chewie and they said we're home, everybody lost their shit. So I thought they did an amazing job as far as not giving away any part of the story. I remember watching it.
I think if you have those original characters, you're going to have
my
hit.
wife screamed.
I think the reason those other three, the people like to forget about them with the little kid, and it's just because they didn't have what everybody fell in love with.
Yeah.
But there's people that are younger that grew up with that, like from little kids that are now like they're like
it felt manufactured.
And then the guy at work,
he
grew up with those the three that I'm talking about, and then and he's like he watched the first one when Darth Vader comes up. He goes, "I've never felt a presence like that," and then he walks away. He goes like, "That's so stupid." I'm like, "What do you mean? That's dramatic." He's like, "No, how could he didn't even finish his sentence. He just walks off." I'm like, "Yeah," and he didn't like it. But he didn't like it. He just said it was stupid. And then he said the guy flying in the TIE fighter was all
that was great because then you go, "What is he talking?"
Goes, "Isn't anything bolted down in that thing?"
But as the audience,
he was picking on it, and I'm like, "Well, hey, the graphics of today, this is where they kind of got their start from." Special food.
Yeah, but
exactly.
But again, the whole presence line, like that was great because as the audience, you're like, what the hell is he talking about? Who is he talking about?
He's got to forget, and this is one thing that he probably doesn't understand.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I told him. You don't know. Hey, what is this that he's talking about? What is this? It's starting to build like, hey, this is something
and you see that
magical. This is something. But in the other movies, they explain exactly what the Force is.
Right.
So, yeah, it's different. It's different.
Yeah, it's already ruined. Yeah.
Like, come on. How do you be? You tell me he didn't like the scene where he was like choking him out, going, "I find your lack of faith
like I said, we can't.
Like,
that's what we grew up with. The other movies are what he grew up with, so it's different.
Well,
that's what your childhood was. That's where you got your feet wet with it. So it's
it's kind of like my Transformers is ruined by Michael Bay. By Michael J. Fox. No, by
J.
Michael
Fox?
Bay.
Michael Bay.
I mean, and I've had this discussion with Paul before, and I'm just, I liked my Optimus Prime, the lower cab forward, and now that he's this Peterbilt, it just. I just don't. I mean, it's the same voice, which is the only saving
which
grace.
I loved. Yeah, which I.
But
loved.
I don't understand why they didn't use Frank Welker for.
Because they thought he sounded gay.
He
they
sounds
thought
gay.
Hugo Weaving sounded a bit more menacing, which was fucking ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, but
it's gay.
And the fact that they made Megatron a jet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
know
why they.
Believe it or not, that was very common. Years ago when they made the Incredible Hulk, they didn't go with Bruce Banner because they thought it sounded gay. Like literally Stan Lee has said that, where that's why they went with David
gay.
Bruce Banner because they thought Bruce sounded gay.
Yeah.
So that was very common to have, them saying, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So, that's gay, yeah, which is awful, but I mean, that was commonplace back
but
then.
But before we go too much off on a tangent, going back to the Star Wars thing, one of the things that Disney has done, which I'm kind of happy about, is that they came out with Star Wars Battlefield 2, which has...
What is a playable character or just someone you talk?
It has Rey and...
I heard, yes.
And what's the other guy's name?
Finn.
They have Rey and Finn in it. Yeah, and they're playable characters. Which is kind of cool because now they're incorporating the new stuff, which is really cool. I mean, I've played it because I have the beta multiplayer.
God, you suck.
And the graphics are just intense. Like I did a whole bunch of the starfighter scenes. The space scenes where you do the space fighting.
Oh yeah, what you were waiting for with this game is to be able to fight in space with a dogfight.
Right. And the incredible thing is now you can go inside a Star Destroyer, kind of fly around inside the Star Destroyer, but because everything's so fast paced, and if you're not careful, you can smash into stuff. But the graphics, I mean, when you get in there and you can fly around and you can see like a reactor, and you have to shoot at it, but because you're so quick, I mean, you only have split second to think and do, and then get out of there, because if you don't, then you'll crash. You know what I mean? And it's just, and the Star Destroyers are shooting at you, and the other Imperial fleet and the Rebel fleet are like neck and neck next to each other, so you can fly between them. I mean, it's just, I was just so impressed. I was just like, and it's and I think it's VR ready, so you can put a VR headset on and play this with a VR headset.
You can,
and I
Hope
think
you have your shitting pants on.
If it was me, I'd poop my pants. I mean, I would. I mean, I would just. Yeah.
I
got my brown pants on.
Listen, have you played the VR X-Wing mission? Have you played that?
No. I haven't played any VR.
Oh my god! Listen, like you, we grew up with Virtual Boy and all that garbage that was just crap. I didn't think it was going to be anything worth dealing with. Well, a friend of mine, Joe, has the VR set. And, I went over there one night, and he's like, oh, yeah, you want to check it out? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's see what all the hubbub is. And, he's like, oh, I got the X-Wing mission. I'm like, oh, cool, that would be perfect. So let me just tell you, my mind was melting. I mean, it was melting. Like, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Like, when you put it on, you really feel like you're sitting in the cockpit. Like, it's not the crap that we grew up with. I mean, this thing was the real deal. I mean, it was amazing. And everything in the cockpit works. So you use the remotes, and every button that's there, you push, and it does something. So you can either use the buttons on the controller to turn on your shield or change your weapon or whatever, or you can choose to use the buttons on the console of the cockpit. And they did such an amazing job. You're flying around, you're looking up, you're looking down. You could see through the upper part of the cockpit, the sides. I mean, you could turn around and look behind you, and you could see, ships flying alongside you. And you really actually do get almost disoriented. You actually can very easily get dizzy if you're very prone to motion sickness, because it's that good. I mean, it was absolutely mind-blowing. It was amazing. You got to play it. No, I was on the PlayStation 4. The PlayStation VR, and because the X-Wing mission is free if you have Battlefront, the first one. Right. So he has it, and of course I have it, but I don't have a VR headset. $400. But it was absolutely beautiful. If you ever get a chance to play it, you got to play it. I mean, it was fantastic. Yeah, it was absolutely amazing.
I don't want to get into the VR thing until there's more games to it.
Right. Well, that's why I haven't bought
Yeah,
one either.
I mean-
because there's not a whole lot for it yet. But I mean, it's got real potential.
'Cause, yeah,
I was really
sometimes
when you can
surprised.
doesn't
count the
go
games on one hand,
They go
it's
off to
not
something
worth
else, so it's
getting the technology yet. Right, yeah. And I would hate to invest the $300, $400 on
Well,
it, and then
yeah.
it goes nowhere, and you're stuck with this, stupid technology that does nothing.
virtual reality porn.
And the only thing it's good for is porn. That's it. Yeah. I
Have you done the VR session for the Ghostbusters in New York, Mike? At all? Have you tried that out?
No, you were telling me about that.
With the
I
Void.
haven't.
Oh my God, it was insane. Because it's a room. It's made by a company called The Void, and basically it's an actual virtual reality experience where you put on the pack, you have a gun, and you literally, as you physically walk toward a door, and you put your hand down. There's a doorknob there, so you turn it, you open it, and the door opens. And what you're looking at, it opens. You go into the next room, and then there's a part where a part of the building blows out, and you're on the scaffolding outside. The floor beneath you is actually shaking back and forth, making you lose your balance, as if you're on these wooden planks out of the side of a building. They've got fans blowing air, so you really feel like you're up on a building out there with all the wind blowing. And when you fry the marshmallow, man, you get the nice aroma of roasted marshmallows in the room. I mean, it was fantastic. For $50 and just to check it out, just to see what it's all about, it was definitely worth it. My wife actually, she doesn't really like video games, but my headset had an issue, and they gave me a second time to go through, and we went through a second time.
Now wait, was it the Ghostbusters with the guys?
So definitely check it out. You would definitely dig
I'll have
it.
to try that one day.
You have to say I was petrified the first half of the first one.
No, it was based on the girls, because it's part of the new exhibit. But you don't see the girls in the you could see each other because you go in with 3 or 4 other people. But
I remember seeing
see
a video
game versions, but
when
it's
they
not.
were,
You get to select a male or a female.
Marshmallow
So
Man watching it,
it's not.
And then he blows his head off at the end of the video. He shoots his head off. There's all marshmallow over the place because he's looking at the movie and he's just like, what did they do? I don't know. I think I'll watch it someday if I feel like watching it. Maybe I'll watch it. But I heard it's pretty bad, right?
Yeah.
I've watched it.
Yeah.
It's, you know what it is? It's
Well, they're taking all
really
popular people of today and thinking, hey, that's going to be enough to carry
visual
this
it's
shit
not
show.
even close to
because this is all the people that everybody wants to see.
Right.
And it's like, no, they made it. It wasn't epic because of the actors. It was a good movie. The actors added to it, but you can't just throw anybody in there and think, okay, well, there's a popular, so we can just no.
You're right. Right. Yeah, I mean that's exactly. I mean when you watch the movie,
That's what it feels like.
it was so forced. You watch it and you're just like, oh my god, why are they? No. Like the Egon character, which is this really quirky girl. Like she is just so over the top that you wouldn't think she would be that kind of character. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, you mean where she's licking the gun or whatever the hell that nonsense?
Right? Yeah. Like it's just she's too quirky and too over the top and too like Egon was just this stoic nerd. He was
no doubt.
What you thought a nerd would be, very awkward. Could not communicate all that well with you if his life depended on it. He had to give you jargon. He couldn't give you just a straight answer. And that's what you miss when you're watching this. Like, this girl was just very articulate and had to be funny with her answers, and it was just like, yeah, and I did this, and I even put it in this shade because I thought it would look great. It's just like, and you're just just stop.
And that's the thing. If you look at Egon, he's like, I collect spores, molds, and fungus.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be sexy to him.
Right.
And then there's a scene in Ghostbusters 2 where they were talking about the slime, And it took me
yes.
years to pick up on it. And he's like, we sing to it. We say nurturing things. You're not sleeping with it, are you? And then like Egon has this look on his face, and he's like, and he's like, it's always the quiet ones, And I'm like, but you could. It was totally like it totally fit his persona that you would believe that he would do something like that, and yet still be highly intelligent afterwards,
Right.
Well, I've said it before. The guys, their chemistry was very organic because they had worked together for years. SCTV, all that. They had relationships, so they knew how to feed off of each other. They knew each other's comedic style. And again, the original film was based on a horror movie with comedy elements put into it, where this one is a forced comedy film with some horror elements, and like the whole power Patty compels you slapping her, like come on, for real? Like that was way over the top and too forced, whereas you have the more subtle, is this true? Yes, this man has no dick.
I mean, it's 3 strong comedians and 1 straight man. That's pretty much what it was. Right. So, I mean, and it worked because Winston was just kind of thrown in.
That guy was at the
last minute type
there was a toy convention
just to give it some color,
and he was there. Yeah, he was.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. But
Ernie Hudson.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Ernie Hudson goes to a lot of those. I've actually met him, and he's great.
He is a great guy.
He's super nice. He wears his Ghostbusters uniform when he goes to the shows. Like he has no fear of it. Like you get a lot of these iconic characters, and the stars are ashamed of them. Like people like Patrick Stewart. You have Captain Picard, and then when people show up in a Star Trek uniform, he's like rolling his eyes, like oh god. Mr. Shakespearean. He wants to be known for other roles, which is fine. But you made an iconic character. You should be proud of that. Right. Where Ernie Hudson totally embraces the fans, and he loves the ghost heads. He's sitting there in his Zedmore, overalls with the patch on, and that's a piece of movie history you're staring at right there. And it's like, are you kidding? And he's the nicest guy. If you've ever get a chance to meet him, take the opportunity because he's super fun to talk to. Very nice guy.
Yeah, I mean, even when they did the voiceover for the Ghostbusters movie, I mean, the video game.
The game, yes. Which I thought was fantastic,
yeah,
by the way.
they did a great job with that, too.
Oh, I thought that was a very valid part 3. That would have been a great film.
Yeah, I think it would have been, too.
I loved all the upgrades they did to the packs and the equipment, and how you, as the rookie, were the one testing all that crap out,
it was pretty great because... Paul, I'm sure you probably haven't played the game, but in the game, it's funny because they introduce you as the rookie, and they go, well, what's your and what's his name? Bill Murray says, so what's your name, rookie? And he goes, never mind, it's too complicated to figure it out because you're probably not going to be here long. And the rookie just looks at him like, what? Like, huh?
What?
So and then
they just call you kid after that.
Yeah.
Hey kid.
So and then Egon and Spangler start explaining how what the new packs that they have and what does it do, blah blah blah. And he goes, but it's untested and we don't know if it'll do any and he goes, the scar tissue should be at a minimum and the burning should be at a minimum. So, and at first, Bill Murray goes, well, I want, why can't I have, all the good stuff? And they're explaining about it's untested and the burning and the cell damage and blah 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 should be at a minimum. And then he goes, you know what? I think the rookie should test it. So that's how you end up getting all these new powerful weapons because they don't want to test it, so they give it to the rookie to test.
And Paul, the upgrades are fantastic. Like you have like a stasis stream, which slows down whatever it is that you're dealing with. So it's not like a lasso. Like some of the ghosts, like you actually have to break them down to the point where you can lasso them with the proton beam, and you can't do that right away. So some of them you have to use those other upgrades for before you're able to do that. And then you have to wrangle them as if you were lassoing, a bull or something, and you have to wrangle it into the trap, and then you have to slam it down into the trap. You can't upgrade the trap, so you don't have to do that as much.
Yeah.
But the stasis stream is great. Then you have the slime tether. Yeah. Which is cool. That's how you open certain doors or move certain things. It's basically like a tether that's made of slime.
Yeah.
And there are certain things like black slime that's in the game that you cannot get rid of except to neutralize it.
Well, that makes
it's a play on the
sense.
second film with the slime, with the positively charged slime. Right. And the packs overheat, unlike in the actual film. Right. So if you use them too long, and then it goes into a cooldown period. You can vent it manually if you choose to. Mm-hmm. It has, obviously, the cooldown period is like a second, versus if you let it go too far, then it takes a couple seconds, and when you're getting your ass handed to you, a couple seconds makes a big difference. The one thing that drove me nuts about the game was that your teammates, when they go down, you have to revive them. Yeah. So as long as one of you is alive, you still are okay. But at the minute that you all go down, that's it. Yeah. So you are constantly going. You hear Bill Murray yelling, "Little help! Little help!" And then you have to go over there and you have to, pick them up. And same thing for you. When you go down, if there's somebody else alive, they have to come and rescue you. So that got a little frustrating for me to have to constantly rescue somebody.
But it was a good game, which is great.
Oh, the story was fantastic. Yeah. You get to use the Tobin Spirit Guide that they talk about all the time, where they go to look up things. Right. You have to you identify a ghost, and then you look basically in the PKE meter, and it tells you the strengths and what the weakness for the ghost is and all that. So they really did a nice job. The PKE meter and the goggles really play a large part in the game.
First movie, he wasn't
locating secret items and things like that, and where doors are and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, this is a totally new.
Are you talking about Gozer?
Yeah, it's a totally new.
Oh no! This goes into Ivo Shandor, the guy who designed the building that Sigourney Weaver's character lived in the first film, the one who decided society was too sick to survive. It goes into him and his lore, and it goes into all that. So as far as a sequel, it was fantastic. It was written by Harold and both Dan. Yeah. The two of them, and so that's why it was so good. That didn't shock me at all, but it was fantastic. As far as if you like the story and you wanted to see where the story would go next, that's a great game to play, because not only are you enjoying the aspects of playing the game and the Ghostbusters lore, but now you're actually enjoying the hell out of the story, because now you're seeing where it's going next.
Right.
And Mr. Have No Dick Atherton.
He's back in it. Yeah.
He's Walter Peck. Yeah. He actually oversees your agency, because now you work for the city. Right. You're what is it, Mike? You're sanctioned by the city. You're sanctioned
by the city, and any kind of damage or anything that's
you're
done
is
covered by the city, but you also get bankrolled by the city, so they're paying for all your stuff.
So now you're like an official.
Right. Yeah.
Right, you're on the official payroll, so now you're an actual functioning entity. Right. Just like, the Department of Sanitation or anything else like that. So he is the one that oversees your department, and it's like, oh, man. Then he gets possessed in the game later, and it's like, oh, God.
Yeah.
But it was fantastic. It really was. I got Dan Aykroyd and Ernie's signatures on my copy of the game.
Well, since we're on a high note again, let's quit on a high note, so that way we don't get too out of control. Because we had some talking points that we were supposed to do, and
can't touch too much.
Maybe one or two of them got touched, and that was it. We have to be careful about touching, because we can't touch too much. That gets you in trouble. Yeah, it gets you in trouble. So
Paul Romanek?
Let's try not to touch too much. So, with that being said, I'm Mike LeBoy Hees.
12 guys in here.
And the other one is?
Rob James.
And and the other one, and the other one, and the other one.
The other guy.
Yeah, there is.
And hopefully our production
So we want to thank you guys for listening in, and we've rambled on long enough, and we thank you for listening in if you're still here. If you're not, Yes, yeah. So we apologize for
that was because it was
some of the audio
the
issues, but I
Peanuts,
think we've got
teacher.
it under control. I'm trying to edit a little bit more with some video and yeah. So there should be some videos thrown in with everything and some music. So hopefully you enjoy it, and hopefully when I have more time,
Yeah, and hopefully I get to go back in
create a
time
new,
and erase Mike's history
intro,
of
so,
Walking Dead comics, so he can't ruin
bigger things and
the show
better
for
things for
anybody
next
else. It's gonna happen. I'm working on it right now. That's what I've been doing this whole time. It's gonna happen.
year. It's not gonna happen.
Damn it.
Thanks again.
Not gonna happen.
Arrivederci.
So, everybody, have a good night. Thanks for
dinner.
listening.
All right.
Thank you. Good night.
All right. It's all right.
Hasta lasagna.
No. Mm. All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. I don't like my long goodbyes. All right. Bye.